The United States has spent the last 40 years and an almost unimaginable amount of money trying to build something to replace one slow, ugly aircraft from the 1970s. They tried fast jets. They tried the most expensive warplane ever made. They tried cheap propeller planes you could practically buy off a shelf. They even tried taking the pilot out entirely. Every single one of them failed. And the strangest part is why. Replacing the A-10 should have been easy. It's old, it's slow, it's been declared obsolete more times than anyone can count. On paper, a dozen newer aircraft can do everything it does and more. And yet, after 4 decades of trying, the most advanced Air Force on Earth still cannot build a plane that does the Warthog's one job as well as the Warthog does. The answer isn't hidden in the A-10. It's hidden in the wreckage of everything that tried to replace it, because each one failed for a completely different reason. These are the planes that were built to kill the Warthog, and how, one by one, each of them died instead. The very first attempt to replace the A-10 was also the most obvious. Just use a plane the Air Force already had. In the late 1980s, the service decided the future of close air support was the F-16. Fast, sleek, modern, everything the lumbering Warthog wasn't. The plan even got a name, the A-16, and an entire National Guard wing in New York traded in its A-10s to fly it. On paper, it was perfect. The F-16 could sprint to the battlefield in a fraction of the time, and dodge missiles a slow A-10 couldn't. So, in 1991, when Desert Storm erupted, they got their real-world test, and the war answered the question for good. The problem wasn't the equipment, it was physics. Close air support means flying low and slow enough to actually see the enemy tangled up with your own troops, then staying there while the people on the ground talk you onto the target. A fast jet can fly over a battlefield, but it cannot fight in one. The very speed that keeps it safe is the thing that makes it useless to the soldier waiting for help. Down low, the F-16 was fragile and exposed, so it was forced up high. And from up high, its attacks were less accurate, and the men on the ground got a worse result than the old Warthog had given them. The verdict was blunt. The modified F-16 simply could not do the job. The first replacement was dead, beaten not by a better plane, but by the mission itself. If speed was the problem, the next answer was supposed to be technology, the most sophisticated ever put into an aircraft. The F-35 wasn't just meant to replace the A-10, it was meant to replace almost everything. The F-16, the Hornet, the Harrier, and the Warthog, all at once. The Air Force's position was simple. The F-35 takes over close air support, and the A-10 can finally retire. Then Congress forced the two planes into a head-to-head test, and the results, when they leaked years later, were quietly devastating. The F-35's built-in cannon carried barely 180 rounds, a fraction of what the A-10 brings. And worse, the gun had trouble shooting straight at all. The stealth jet needed more passes to kill the same targets, cost roughly 6 times as much per hour to fly, and its fleet struggled to stay mission ready even half the time. You do not send a $100 million stealth jet to loiter over a firefight where a man with a shoulder-fired missile can end it. The very thing that makes the F-35 precious is what makes it the wrong tool for a knife fight on the ground. And here's the kicker. Critics showed the test had been tilted in the F-35's favor, flown higher, against easier targets than real close air support ever allows. Even then, it couldn't clearly win. So the Air Force swung to the opposite extreme. If a stealth jet was too expensive and too precious, why not go cheap? Dirt cheap? In 2017, it launched the Light Attack experiment, gathering a handful of small propeller planes, including a militarized crop duster and a turboprop trainer, out in the New Mexico desert. The pitch was seductive. These planes cost around $1,000 an hour to fly, less than a 20th of an F-16, and against lightly armed enemies, they could take the strain off the expensive fleets. The Air Force talked openly about buying as many as 300 of them, and then it bought almost none. After a fatal crash cut the trial short, the whole grand vision quietly shrank until the service walked away with just a handful of aircraft for niche use. The Air Force finally tested a plane it could actually afford, and, by walking away from it, proved it had never truly wanted one. The cheap solution failed for the opposite reason the expensive one did. A slow propeller plane is a death trap the moment anyone shoots back with anything serious, and a service obsessed with high-end war was never going to build its future around it. Two extremes, two failures. So, the planners reached for the last idea left: remove the most vulnerable part of the aircraft altogether, the human being. For years, the cleanest answer seemed to be the drone. An armed, unmanned aircraft could circle a battlefield for a full day without tiring, and if it was shot down, no family got a folded flag. To a lot of people, the future of close air support obviously had no cockpit in it at all. But drones hit a wall that has nothing to do with engineering. Close air support, at its most dangerous, is a conversation. A pilot and the soldier on the ground, reading the same chaos in real time, trusting each other with lives in the space of a few seconds. A drone is flown by someone thousands of miles away, watching through a soda straw camera on a feed that can lag, stutter, or drop at the worst possible moment. A drone can watch a battlefield for a day, but it still can't do the one thing the Warthog does best: put a human being's own eyes directly over his own people, close enough to know in an instant who lives and who dies. The newest idea, drone wingmen flown by other aircraft, may change that someday. But someday is not a replacement, and the troops needed one now. Fast jet, stealth jet, cheap plane, no pilot. 4 philosophies, 4 failures, which left the Pentagon with one absurd, undeniable option. After 40 years of chasing something better, the Air Force did the only thing that actually worked. It rebuilt the A-10. Boeing was handed a contract worth close to $1 billion to manufacture brand new wings. Not for some next-generation successor, but for the Warthog itself, bolting fresh airframes onto the very plane everyone had spent decades trying to scrap. Those wings are rated to keep the A-10 flying deep into the 2030s. Sit with what that means. After spending more money trying to replace the A-10 than it would have cost to simply keep it, the United States discovered that the only aircraft capable of replacing the Warthog was a newer Warthog. The replacement program's final answer turned out to be the very thing it was trying to replace. So here's the real lesson buried in all that wreckage. The A-10 hasn't survived because the Air Force loves it or because it's some flawless machine. It has survived because every generation reached for its best idea, the fastest jet, the most advanced jet, the cheapest plane, the pilotless one, and every single idea broke against the same simple, brutal mission. The Warthog's job turned out to be far harder to do than the Warthog made it look. That's the strange truth about a few rare machines. They don't endure because they're advanced. They endure because their one job is so specific and so unforgiving that nothing newer can quite touch it. We've taken the Warthog apart from every angle now. Next, we're turning to another legend the Pentagon is finally retiring. A secret-soaked spy plane that flew for 70 years and was almost impossible to land. You won't want to miss it. Stick around.